You pull into the campground, get set up, and head into town for lunch. It's a beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky, so you leave the awning out. Why not, right? You'll be back in an hour. While you're finishing your sandwich, the sky changes. A gust comes through camp out of nowhere, the kind of wind that wasn't in any forecast that morning. By the time you get back, your awning fabric is torn, one of the arms is bent, and there's a crack in the fascia, where the mounting bracket ripped loose from the side of your RV. Nothing about that afternoon felt like a mistake while it was happening. That's exactly what makes these kinds of things so costly. Some RV mistakes cost you nothing. Some cost you a few $100s and a headache. And some, the ones that sneak up on you because they seemed completely harmless in the moment, can cost you thousands. Today, I'm going through 7 of them. And the thing about these mistakes is that most of them don't happen because someone doesn't care about their RV. They happen because the mistake looks completely harmless until the damage is already done. I'm Roadside Randy, helping everyday Americans make smarter decisions about RVs, trucks, and life on the road. Let's start with number 7. Number 7. Leaving your awning out when you leave the campsite. Here's how this one usually plays out. You're set up for the day, the weather's calm, and you head off for lunch, a hike, some sightseeing, whatever it is. The awning's out because you were sitting under it 20 minutes ago, and it just doesn't occur to you to bring it in for a quick errand. The problem isn't that awnings are fragile. It's that weather changes faster than most people expect, and an awning left out has nobody there to react when it does. A sudden gust can tear the fabric, bend, or snap the support arms, and in worse cases, actually pull the mounting brackets away from the side of the RV, which means you're not just replacing an awning, you're repairing the exterior wall it was attached to. Depending on the extent of the damage, you could be looking at anywhere from a few $100s for fabric and arm replacement, up into the thousands if the mounting hardware tore into the sidewall itself. And it's not just about being away from the campsite. Even when you're sitting right there under the awning, a strong enough gust can still catch it and do real damage before you have time to crank it in. The fix here is about as simple as it gets. If you're leaving the campsite, even for a quick errand, the awning comes in. And if the wind starts picking up while you're sitting under it, don't wait to see how bad it gets. Retract it early. If you're leaving the campsite, the awning comes in. Every time. But awnings aren't the only thing that can turn an ordinary drive into an expensive one. The next mistake happens before you even pull out of the driveway. Number 6. Forgetting to secure everything before driving. Think about what's actually inside your RV right now. Cabinet doors that latch but aren't locked. A refrigerator full of groceries. Drawers, a shower door, maybe a TV mounted on an arm, a coffee maker sitting on the counter. None of that is a problem when the RV is parked. All of it becomes a problem the moment you hit a pothole, brake hard for traffic, or take a rougher stretch of road than you expected. An RV interior is really a moving house, and everything inside it needs to survive being shaken around at highway speed. A cabinet door that pops open can send dishes crashing to the floor. A refrigerator that isn't properly latched can swing open and dump its contents, sometimes damaging the fridge's own hinges and seals in the process. Loose items on the counter become projectiles. None of this is usually catastrophic on its own, but broken dishware, a damaged refrigerator door, a cracked TV screen, a chipped countertop, it adds up fast, and a lot of it is completely avoidable. The solution is simple, and it takes maybe 5 minutes. Before you pull out, do one slow walk through the entire RV. Check every cabinet, every drawer, the fridge, the shower door, anything sitting loose on a counter or a table. Get in the habit of doing it every single time, not just on longer trips. A 5-minute walkthrough beats a broken refrigerator door every time. If you're finding these useful, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. It genuinely helps this channel keep making these videos. And speaking of walking through the RV before you leave, there's a related mistake that's even easier to make because it involves the stuff connected to the outside of your rig. Number 5. Driving away with something still connected. This is the one almost every RV owner has a story about, and if you don't yet, give it time. You're breaking camp, you're talking to your spouse, maybe you're a little distracted because you're running behind schedule, and you follow the same routine you've done a dozen times. Except this time, something gets missed. The truck starts moving. You hear a sound you don't recognize. And then it hits you. The power cord is still plugged into the campground pedestal. Or the water hose is still connected. or the sewer hose is still attached. In some cases, it's not a hose at all. It's the stabilizers still down, the steps still extended, or an antenna still raised. The damage here depends entirely on what got left connected, but none of the possibilities are cheap. Driving off with the power cord attached can damage the electrical inlet on your RV and potentially the pedestal itself. A water hose can tear the connection point. A sewer hose left attached is about as unpleasant a mistake as you can make, and it can damage the sewer fitting on both the RV and the campground connection. Stabilizers or steps that are still extended when you start moving can bend, crack, or tear off entirely. The fix is the same one that solves most of these mistakes: a physical walk-around before you move the vehicle. Not a mental checklist you run through in your head while you're already halfway in the driver's seat. An actual walk-around the outside of the RV, checking every connection point and everything that extends or retracts. Before you move an inch, walk around the RV and look at every single connection point. Number 4. Ignoring your RV tires. Here's a mistake that doesn't feel like a mistake at all, because it's really more of an assumption. The tires have plenty of tread, so they must be fine. Except tread depth isn't the only thing that matters on an RV tire, and in a lot of cases, it's not even the most important thing. RV tires age, even when they're barely used. A trailer that sits in a driveway for 10 months out of the year, only rolling out for a couple of trips each summer, can still have tires that are quietly deteriorating from sun exposure, heat, and just the passage of time, well before the tread wears down. Overloading a tire beyond its rated capacity, running it underinflated, or putting it through a long, hot highway trip all add stress that tread depth alone won't tell you about. Here's why this matters so much financially. When an RV tire fails at highway speed, the tire itself is usually the cheapest part of what needs fixing. A blowout can tear into the wheel well, damage wiring or plumbing that runs along the underside of the RV, crack flooring, and rip exterior panels or fenders. What might have been a $200 or $300 tire replacement can turn into a repair bill in the thousands once you add up the collateral damage. Every RV tire has a date code stamped into the sidewall, usually a 4-digit number. The first 2 digits are the week, the last 2 are the year it was manufactured. RV tire manufacturers often recommend replacing tires based on age, even when they still have plenty of tread. The exact recommendation varies by tire manufacturer, so check the guidance for the specific tires on your RV. Take a minute next time you're outside the RV and actually find that date code on your tires. Don't judge an RV tire by tread alone. Check the age too. Quick question for the comments. Have you ever found out the hard way that a tire's age mattered more than its tread? Tell us what happened. Real stories like that are exactly what help other RV owners avoid the same mistake. Number 3. Getting your hitch set up wrong. This one is especially important if you're towing a travel trailer, and it usually starts with a conversation at the dealership. They tell you your truck can tow this. You believe them, because why wouldn't you? They sell trucks and trailers for a living. You hook up and you drive away. Here's the problem. Whether your truck can technically tow a trailer isn't the only number that matters. There's the trailer's weight, its GVWR, which is the maximum it can weigh once it's loaded, the tongue weight pressing down on your hitch, and separately, your truck's payload capacity, which is often a much smaller number than people expect. A truck can have an impressive tow rating on paper and still not have enough payload capacity to safely handle a fully loaded trailer, passengers, and cargo all at once. The hitch itself needs to be rated for the job too, and depending on the weight involved, you may need a weight distribution hitch or sway control to keep everything stable. The real question isn't can the truck technically pull it, it's can the truck safely handle the fully loaded trailer, with your gear, your passengers, and everything else factored in. When that math doesn't work out, you'll usually notice it on the road. Excessive sway, poor braking, a front end that feels light, a truck that squats down in the rear, handling that just feels off, and tires that wear unevenly and faster than they should. The correct setup depends on your specific truck, your specific trailer, your hitch, and how you actually load the thing, so don't take a dealer's word as the final answer. And remember, the numbers on the truck's door sticker and the trailer's certification label are more useful for your specific setup than a generic towing number you see in an advertisement. Do your own research on the actual numbers for your specific setup before you sign anything. Don't let the dealers "your truck can tow it" be the end of your research. Do the math yourself. But mismatched towing gear isn't the only expensive mistake that can happen before you've even had a single trip. The next one can happen the moment you buy the RV, and you might not find out about it for months. Number 2. Buying an RV with hidden water damage. You find it, the deal that seems almost too good to be true. The RV looks beautiful, the interior smells fresh. Everything you test seems to work. And somewhere underneath that fresh smell and clean paint, there's water damage nobody's told you about. Water is one of the most expensive problems an RV owner can run into, because by the time you notice it, it's usually already spread further than you'd guess. Water travels along framing, insulation, and subflooring in ways that aren't visible from the surface, so what looks like a small stain on a ceiling panel can actually represent damage that extends several feet in every direction behind the wall. When you're looking at a used RV, walk the floors slowly and feel for soft spots, especially around the bathroom, kitchen, and any slide-outs. Look up at the ceiling for staining or bubbling. Check around every window for soft trim or discoloration. Open cabinets and look for swelling in the particle board. Take a breath near the corners of the RV. A musty smell is one of the most reliable signs something's wrong, even when nothing looks obviously damaged. And pay attention to fresh caulking in places that look like they were recently redone. Sometimes that's routine maintenance, and sometimes it's someone trying to hide a problem right before a sale. To be fair, not every stain is a disaster. A small cosmetic mark doesn't automatically mean the RV is a lost cause, but it is a reason to look closer, not a reason to walk away from further investigation or to ignore it entirely. If you're serious about a used RV, especially one at a higher price point, it's worth paying for a professional RV inspection before you buy. It typically costs a few $100s, and it can save you from walking straight into a repair bill in the thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, if the damage turns out to be extensive. A few $100s for an inspection is a lot cheaper than finding out the hard way. A lot cheaper. If this list is hitting home so far, go ahead and hit like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell so you catch what's coming next, because number 1 might be the biggest one on this whole list. And now, the mistake I think causes more regret than almost anything else on this list, because it happens before you even drive the RV home for the first time. Number 1. Not doing a complete walkthrough before taking delivery. You just bought your dream RV. The dealer hands you the keys. You're excited, you've been looking forward to this for months, and you just want to get on the road. The salesperson walks you through it, pointing things out here and there. You nod along, you sign the paperwork, you drive home. Then you go to make dinner, and the refrigerator isn't cooling. Or it's 90 degrees out and the air conditioner doesn't blow cold. Or you go to put the awning out and it won't extend. Or the water heater is leaking behind an access panel you never opened. Or a slide doesn't seal right and you find that out during the next rainstorm. Here's the mistake. Most buyers look at the systems in an RV instead of actually testing them. A refrigerator that's plugged in and lit up looks like it's working. It isn't actually working until it's been running long enough to get cold. The same goes for almost everything else on board. Before you accept delivery, actually run every system. Turn on the refrigerator and give it time to cool. Run the furnace and the air conditioner. Fire up the water heater and check for leaks. Test the stove, the microwave, the toilet, the shower, every faucet. Flip on every light and test every outlet. Check the TV and any entertainment systems. Then go outside, extend and retract the awning. Run the slide-outs in and out. Check every exterior light, the steps, the stabilizers, every storage door and lock. Look over the windows and take a good look at the roof if you're able to. Check the tires while you're at it. And don't forget the systems that tie it all together. Fresh water, gray water, black water, the electrical system, propane, and the battery. Run water through every faucet, and if it's appropriate for the sale, check that the tanks hold and drain properly. Take your time doing all of this. Don't let the excitement of a brand new RV rush you through what should be a careful inspection. If something doesn't work, write it down and get it addressed before you take delivery. Or at minimum, get it in writing that the dealer will fix it. It's a completely different negotiation once you've already driven off the lot with the keys in your hand. And when you step back and look at all 7, there's a pattern. Almost none of them start with some dramatic, catastrophic failure. They start small, a forgotten hose, an old tire nobody thought to check the date on, an unsecured cabinet door, a leak nobody noticed until it had already spread, a 5-minute walkthrough that never happened because everyone was too excited to slow down. That's what turns an ordinary day of RV ownership into an expensive one. So think back to that afternoon at the campground, the one where the awning got left out for what felt like a harmless lunch break. That's really what every mistake on this list has in common. In the moment, none of them feel like mistakes at all. Which one of these have you made yourself or watched someone else make? I want to hear about it in the comments because those real stories are exactly what help other RV owners avoid learning the same lesson the expensive way. And if this video helped you avoid a mistake before it costs you, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you catch the next one. I'm Roadside Randy, helping everyday Americans make smarter decisions about RVs, trucks, and life on the road. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.